Next topic is database approach. So just now we have seen file based approach. So previously each and every information will be stored in the form of a file. So maintaining information in the form of a files is having some drawbacks. So to overcome the drawbacks, database approach is implemented. In a database approach, each and every information will be stored in the form of a tables. Okay, that is nothing but a database approach actually. So first we will see, in order to remove all the limitations of file based system, a new approach was required that must be more effective. So database concept was introduced. Database, just now we have seen what is a database. Database is nothing but a collection of interrelated data which contains the information of an organization. It is obtained by collecting the data from all different sources of organization. So collecting the data from different sources of an organization and maintain at one place is nothing but a database. So here database is a computer based record keeping system whose overall purpose is to record and maintain the information. So each and every information of organization is placed in a database in a organized form. Database is a single large repository of data which can be used by simultaneously by many users. So database means nothing but a large repository of data. Okay, so this is nothing but a, you can say it as a database. Database can be gathered, data can be collected from different sources of an organization, and this data is organized and maintained in one large repository of data, that is nothing but a database. This database can be used by multiple users simultaneously. So in a database, what are the advantages we will see. So in a database approach we are having so many advantages. What are the drawbacks we have seen in the file based approach, that will become the advantages here. So in a file based system, data independence was not there. So here program data independence. What do you mean by independence means here? The database approach is used, data is stored in a central location called repository. So in a database, total data will be stored in a one form, that is nothing but a repository of data. The process of database allows of an organization's data to change the database without modifying the application programs which are able to process this data, which is nothing but a, if we want to change any data, then if we want to change the database, then without modifying the application program, you can simply, by using the query language, you can simply modify. So here this is nothing but a data independence. Minimal data redundancy. What do you mean by redundancy? Just now we have seen in the previous video. Data redundancy. Redundancy is nothing but a duplication of data. So in a file based system, data redundancy was more, whereas in a database approach, redundancy is not more. This is nothing but a minimal data redundancy. Data redundancy exists when the same data are stored unnecessarily at different places. The database approach doesn't eliminate redundancy completely. It doesn't eliminate the data redundancy completely, but it provides the facilities to the designer to carefully control the amount of redundancy. In a database approach, redundancy is not eliminated completely, but it reduced the amount of redundancy, that you can remember. Next one, improved data consistency. So the amount of data redundancy is controlled. Whenever the redundancy is controlled, it will reduce the data inconsistency. If the redundancy is less, means data inconsistency also less. Inconsistency less means consistency will be more. It is also highly recommended to maintain the same version of data at all the locations. Consistency means same data is available at all the locations. Okay, for example, just now we have seen data inconsistency. Data inconsistency means data existing in different files with different meaning. So same data is existing in different files with different meaning, that is nothing but a data inconsistency. For example, phone number of customer is different at different files. So whereas in a database approach, this type of consistency will be improved. Next one, improved data sharing. Improved data sharing means a database is designed as a shareable component. DBMS helps in creating an environment in which end users have a better access to more data and better manages data. Users are allowed to utilize the services of database by using authentication and authorization. So multiple users can be accessed to the database simultaneously. So to provide the security purpose, they have used the services for the users like authorization and authentication. Authorization is nothing but a only authorized persons should using, like particular users only who is having the username and password to access the database, that person should only access. Authentication is nothing but a access rights, that particular user is having some access rights, only that access rights only he is having, like for example he is having only read and write, then he can only read and write. Or next one, enforcement of standards. Enforcement of standards means to provide the services of database management. Every database administrator designs procedures and enforcements of standards. Procedures are the instructions and rules that govern the design and use of a database system. So to design a database, who will design a database? Database will be designed by database administrator. So this database administrator provides some procedures and rules. So each and every organization should follow these rules, procedures and standards. Okay. Improved quality. Improved quality is nothing but the database approach provides an optimum number of tools and processes to improve the data quality. Every data designer can specify a rule called integrity constraint which users cannot violate. So the database approach, to maintain a database, it just maintains minimum number of tools and processes to improve the data quality. So data designer can specify a rule. The data designer can specify a rule integrity constraint. Just now we have seen integrity for a constraint. For example, if you want to, if you have designed some application, in that one you mention some age constraint is 18. Okay, so you should give minimum age constraint is 18, so you cannot give for that age 17. So can specify a rule called integrity constraint which users cannot violate. For example, you mention some integrity constraint like primary key for any student roll number. So for this primary key, it doesn't accept any duplicate values. Later we will see what is primary key. So 1, 2, 3, after 3 you can give any number, but you cannot give 1 or 2 or 3. Why? Because it primary key constraint doesn't accept duplicate values, like that. So the improved quality. So just now we have seen what are the advantages of database approach. Advantages of database approaches are: database, mainly in a database approach, each and every information will be stored in the form of a records, which is nothing but stored in the form of a tables. So what are the advantages if the information will be stored in the form of a tables? Mainly data independence, which is nothing but a data can be changed easily without changing other tables. Minimal data redundancy. Data redundancy is nothing but a duplication of data. This is compared to file based approach, data redundancy will be less in a database approach. Next one, improved data consistency. If the data redundancy is less, then consistency also, data inconsistency is more. Next one, improved data sharing. So here multiple users can be access the database simultaneously. Here to provide a security, we are going to be using the authentication and authorization facilities. Next one, enforcement of standards. To design a database administrator follows some standard rules and procedures So what are the rules and procedures he followed that will be followed by the users who are using that particular database. Next one, improved quality. The database approach provides an optimum number of tools and processes to improve the data quality. Here every data designer should follow the integrity constraint to maintain a quality of a data.